Hey, I'm Dr. Teresa Vasquez, but you can call me Dr. T. And today we are going to talk about creating a repo on GitHub and connecting it to your local machine. So we're going to use some of that knowledge that you have about your command line, and we are going to make some directories, and then we're going to go on github.com, create a new repo, and then we are going to make that connection happen, okay? Like a match made in heaven, okay? So first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we are at the root or at the very high level of our user profile, our user account inside of our machine. So we could just do cd tilde, and that will make sure that we are at the base, okay? And we can do a PWD to ensure it, so we can see users, Dr. Teresa Vasquez. Now, yours might look a little bit differently depending on where your user directory is on your machine, but just make sure that you are kind of at the root, okay? So we're gonna do a ls so we can see all of the files that are located inside of the base directory. Do a ls, and you see I have a bunch of files in here. I do have a workspace directory. I want to create a new one though. So if you do not have a workspace directory, go ahead and create a workspace directory. But if you do, then you can do copy along with me, or you can just cd into your workspace directory. I don't want to mess up my workspace directory because I'm going to create one called workspace 2. Okay, so I'm going to use my command line mkdir workspace-2. Okay, and then I can ls, and you'll see that workspace 2 is in here, so I'm going to cd into it. All right, and now if I do a pwd, we will see that I am located inside of the directory that I just created. All right, let me clear my screen. Awesome sauce. Now inside of this workspace directory, I want to create a new directory that's going to house all of the files that I'm going to connect back and forth with GitHub. Okay, so this is the first thing that we're going to do whenever we are creating a repo on GitHub and we are trying to connect it to our local machine. We will always make sure that we create a directory and that we cd into it. Okay, so let's mkdir, and I'm going to call it test repo. Okay, and then I'm going to cd into this test repo. Okay, and then I'm going to do a pwd to ensure that I actually am in there, because not everybody's tell you where you are. Okay, so pwd print working directory tells you exactly where you are. Okay, so my first steps whenever I'm doing this connection, y'all keep this in mind, is you're going to create a repo, and then you are going to, you're going to create a directory, and you're going to cd into the directory that you want all of your files to be located. Okay, now I am going to open up GitHub. I'm going to go to the GitHub website, pull it on down here, get my little thing over here. Okay, and I'm going to go to github.com. And there's a couple ways you can make a repo here. You can either click that new green button over here, or you can click on this drop down and do new repo. I'm just going to click new repo here. And make sure that your owner is your profile. And let's create a repo called test repo. Now, I already have several test repos in mind, so I think I'm gonna have to do like 6 or 7. But just name yours test repo if you don't already have one named test repo. If you do have one named test repo, then just give it a number. Okay, so it's gonna be test repo 6 maybe. Yep, that's available for me. Now, once I do that, I just need to make sure that it is set to public, and I will not select anything else. Okay, do not select anything else. Okay, you're just going to do public, and we're going to click create repository. Now this is going to create a repository for us on GitHub, and it's going to give us some instructions that we need to use in order to connect our repo to our local machine. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. So this applies to us. Create a new repository on the command line. Okay, now if we look at these commands a little bit more closely, let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. The first command is echo test repo readme. Okay, so basically what this is going to do is going to put this line test repo-6 into the readme file that it creates. Okay, and then it's going to initialize git. Git in it means to initialize git. Okay, so if you ever see this or you need to initialize git, this is going to be the first line. Okay, then the second one is that we're going to go ahead and add the readme. So we're going to add the changes. Because we made a change to it, we need to add those changes. And then we need to commit those changes so that they can be saved, okay? And then we're going to change the branch to main. Okay, now some of our machines automatically default to master. So what this does is it makes sure that everything is on main. That main is the primary branch that we'll be working on. Okay, and then this next line is so very important, because this is the line that actually connects your local repository or your local directory with GitHub. Okay, so this command, git remote add, okay, adds the origin. The origin is like a variable, right? That's a variable name that we'll be able to do origin. When we say origin, our machine will know, oh, reference this value. Okay, so the key is origin and the value is the link to our Git account on GitHub. Then we are going to push all of the changes that we made to main and set an upstream. We're not going to talk too much about upstream, but just know that we're going to do git push origin main. Remember, origin is the variable for this link here, so that whenever we say origin, it knows, hey, push all the changes to the origin, which is the remote repository, onto the main branch. Okay, so I'm going to click this little icon over here. It's the copy icon, and I'm going to go back to my terminal, and I'm just going to paste Command V on Mac. I think it's Control V on PC, and then push enter. And it's going to do all of this stuff. All right. So it's going to run all of these things. It's going to create the file. See, there's an insertion. That's where we added the name into the README file. It created the README. It did a whole bunch of stuff. And then it created a new branch called main. And then look, now we're on it. So if I do ls now, I should see a README in here. And I do. Yay. Okay. Awesome. So now if I go back to GitHub and I refresh this page, I should see test repo 6. See, it's a README file. Now there's a README file because when we push the origin or the changes up, it created this file. Okay. Now inside of our command line, we can do the command to open our Visual Studio Code so that we can actually see and edit the file if we want to. So I'm going to do code space dot. And that should open up a Visual Studio Code. And here we go. And here's that README, y'all. You see that? All right. And that's it. That's how you create a repo on GitHub and you connect it to your local machine.